we've seen over the last few days and the kinds of apologies. But we have to be very clear that's not who we are as a party.
I mean, that, of course, is the question, is whether it is who you are as a party or not, because all of this gets to where the GOP is. Here was Congresswoman Greene's defense on the House floor this week. Take a look.
I never said any of these things since I have been elected for Congress. These were words of the past, and these things do not represent me. You see, school shootings are absolutely real. I also want to tell you 9/11 absolutely happened.
You say that her opinions have, your words, no place in the party, but she said this week that she raised $330,000 in 48 hours and that President Trump supports her. And I want to remind you that just the week before last, your House Republican leader, Kevin McCarthy, met with Mr. Trump at Mar-a-Lago and said the former president will campaign for Republicans in the 2022 elections. So the question is this still the party of Donald Trump, and does Marjorie Taylor Greene still hold a solid place in that party?
Chris, we're the party of Abraham Lincoln. We're the party of Ronald Reagan. We have to really take a hard look at who
it's a big tent, okay? First of all, fuck Ronald Reagan. Rest in piss, you fucking bitch. But also, we're the party of Abraham Lincoln. But, you know, we're also the party of Ronald Reagan, and we're also the party of Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's what the Republican Party is.
We are and what we stand for, what we believe in. I think when you look at both his actions leading up to what happened on January 6th, the fact that he was impeached in a bipartisan fashion, the fact that he lost the presidency.
You're also the party of Dick Cheney. You know, your dad, who is a horrific monster and a bloodthirsty war criminal.
The fact that we lost the Senate, we have to be in a position where we can say we stand for principles, we stand for ideals. Somebody who has provoked an attack on the United States Capitol to prevent the counting of electoral votes, which resulted in 5 people dying, who refused to stand up immediately when he was asked and stop the violence.
It's wild that this is the bare minimum, and yet Republicans have still found a way to like turn her into a martyr for the Democrats. Like, what she's doing here is literally the fucking bare minimum, okay? It's actually good for the future of the Republican Party so they can normalize. That's the reason why the Democrats have given the Republican Party this olive branch to be like, hey, just fucking say Donald Trump is bad so we can go back to business as usual and act like Ted Cruz is very different than Donald Trump, please. Okay? And the Republicans are like, no, we're not going to fucking normalize. No, we're freaks. This is us. That's the Republican Party. It's like, no, fuck you. We're fucking crazy.
That is a person who does not have a role as a leader of our party going forward. We have to make sure that we are able to convey to the American voters we are the party of responsibility, we are the party of truth, that we actually can be.
Yeah, okay, I can't listen. It's already done. Yellen stimulus plan can bring the U.S. to full employment next year. We're going to skip that. How Joe Biden defeated Donald Trump. That seems kind of sleeper. How to uncancel yourself. That's actually a video that I put in my lineup as well. QAnon followers react to Trump refusing to condemn them. Wait.
There's not supposed to be media present. It's a media blackout. One little piece of advice for the mainstream media is not everything can be debunked. The media is either...
Oh, before we continue with this, though, it is top of the hour. It's the second ad of the day, boys. We're running a 6-second ad break. You already know what it is. If you no longer want to see the ads, an ad-free broadcasting experience is possible for you. All you need to do is subscribe. You can do it for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. By connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, you get one free ad. What? No, you get one free fucking subscription where you don't see ads. Why am I saying you get one free ad? You don't get one free ad. You just don't see ads. Okay, here it is. Here it is!
They're going to have to get on the right side of history, or they're going to go down the ship.
You might think wearing a face mask would help a reporter go unnoticed, but not at this gathering of QAnon followers in Arizona just 2 weeks before November's election.
Take off those damn masks and leave them off.
That's me and my colleague there. 2 of the very few people wearing masks at this indoor event in the middle of a pandemic. And the guy at the back of the room, he's known as the QAnon shaman, and he would
Donny
go on
O'Sullivan!
to storm the Capitol in January.
Where we go one, we go all. I won't push you down. Don't let me fall.
Where we go one, we go all, an infamous QAnon slogan promoted by Trump's first national security advisor, Michael Flynn.
Where we go one, we go all.
And played as an anthem at this meeting of Trump supporters.
We are at war right now, and we in this room understand that very, very much.
Obviously, you've heard the president talking about stuff, haven't you? Yeah. That QAnon thing. Yeah. Did he disavow it, anybody? No.
2 nights earlier, Trump had praised QAnon followers at a town hall with Savannah Guthrie.
Can you just once and for all state that that is completely not true and that disavow QAnon in its entirety?
I know nothing about QAnon.
I just told you.
I know very little. You told me, but what you tell me doesn't necessarily make it fact. I hate to say that.
Like, they're laughing, but they're basically laughing at this idea that, like, Donald Trump is not denouncing them by acting ignorant about them. And the implication there, okay, that is inside of that action, the lack of endorsement there implies that you are toxic, okay? Like, they know that they're fucking hogs. They know that they're crazy, or at least people think that they're crazy, and that Donald Trump is not fucking denouncing them, or only secretly is supporting them, and they still love it. But I guess the same could be said about, like, I don't know, Bernie Sanders. If he was asked to be like, you know, what do you think about Hasanabi, the Twitch broadcaster? He's like, I don't know who that is. And with a little wink and a nod, I'd be like, yeah, of course he's going to denounce me, you know? God, dude, I'm so incredibly not horny anymore. I'm happy now. What?
The message to the people in this room was clear. Trump was on their side.
So we have 17 days between now and a massive Trump victory. So how do you feel about that?
In the room, prominent figures in the QAnon movement, including Jim Watkins, who runs the hate-filled site 8kun, where QAnon messages are posted, and at least 2 people who would go on to Washington, D.C. on January 6th.
A lot of the time, all it really takes is keeping our eyes and our ears open to see who is on what side.
Jacob Chansley, the so-called QAnon shaman, who is charged for his role in the insurrection and went on a hunger strike in prison because they didn't have organic food.
We are at war right now.
And this man, Alan Hostetter, known for organizing anti-lockdown protests in California.
Nobody wants violence, and we are conditioned from the time we were children in this country.
The weird part about that is, like, you still went out and you purchased the Nazi flag. You know what I mean? Like, that's... Like, you went and you purchased a Nazi flag. Like, that's kind of weird. Even if you're putting fucking Gavin Newsom on it, that's still kind of a random, weird thing to do.
In California.
Nobody wants violence, and we are conditioned from the time we were children in this country to always think that violence is a horrible, horrible thing. Until we go back and reflect on our Revolutionary War. They picked up guns at some point and said enough. Until we reflect on the Civil War. We ended slavery by picking up guns and dealing with it that way. We don't want that to happen, but it always has to be something in the back of your mind.
Hostetter's home was raided by the FBI after the insurrection. Media was not allowed to officially attend the event, but any member of the public could attend, and I signed up using my name and work email address. Also in attendance was Travis View, a host of the QAnon Anonymous podcast, who has been tracking this conspiracy theory for years.
One of my big takeaways from attending the Q conference is that the QAnon movement is so much more than just the predictions or the feeling like you're getting inside information. It's about the community. The people there felt like they were part of something big and revolutionary and that they were opposing absolute evil. And that made me feel like this is something that's not going to go away just because Trump lost the election.
Where we go one, we go all.
Yeah, it's a book club, but for fascism, okay? We've said this already. Yes, their hobby is doing fascism, That's what it is. They have gamified fascism, and that's what their book club is about. And that's what it is. It's just a fucking fascist cult that just loves to do fascism. It's great.
It is fascinating. And then you got the Q shaman guy on tape. I mean, that was what a coincidence that was. So you pointed out the sense of the
No, it's not a coincidence. He goes to all the events, and he's from Arizona.
The community in that meeting. That QAnon would last past Trump. So, I mean, what do you think? Tell us, what do you think their next moves are?
Yeah, Don, I mean, it's not going anywhere, right? It's built now. It's so big. I mean, it was enabled by the infrastructure that was built in Silicon Valley that rewarded, lies and hate. It was obviously fueled by the former president, President Trump. But also, a lot of this is just really what we're seeing is so much of it is.
Says Fash is great now. Yeah, I'm being sarcastic, you fucking idiot. Obviously, I don't think it's great that there's fucking fascism going on.
Based on the existing sort of history of hate and racism in this country, which QAnon has enabled and given license to many Americans to now freely express openly. So there are all the questions and problems that Silicon Valley has given us, and also Trump, but a lot of this goes back and sort of, I think, just begins to scratch the surface on some of the more fundamental challenges of racism and anti-Semitism and hate.
How are they going to take what Marjorie Taylor Greene said today?
Well done. You played earlier in the show. I spoke during the week to a 27-year-old mom, a Trump voter, who used to be a QAnon supporter, and she's called it out now. She's realized it's BS. Marjorie Taylor Greene does not sound like a former QAnon believer, right? And what that mom who had left QAnon, what she told me was, when you see people in power, when you see senior Republicans failing to call this sort of thing out, it sends the message to QAnon believers that there's something to all of this, that they should stay believing it. They view it as an endorsement of their conspiracy theory.
It was the 4th of July.
How to uncancel yourself after going viral for QAnon.
This was the height of all of the panic and hysteria.
And then after that, damn, Themasius, you got fucking great lineup. After this, we're going to start moving into the Super Bowl stuff.
Surrounding the lockdowns.
I've been looking forward to this shit all my fucking life.
I ended up at the Target store that day. I had heard on the radio on the way over, there's no barbecues, there's no parties, there's no fun, there's no nothing. And I just saw the mask display.
Target? I'm not playing.
Dude, I love when working class individuals who are barely making ends meet demonstrate their political positions like this. It's the most working class thing you can do as a working class person, which is what this person definitely is.
And
there's nothing more working class than harassing fucking minimum wage workers. Super working class, mega working class behavior.
I lost it.
This shit's over, this shit's over, this shit's over, this shit's over.
I guess the point I was trying to make was that I was not feeling seen, I was not feeling heard. I felt like my freedoms and everything that I had worked for was being taken away from me, and I couldn't stop it.
This shit's fucking over.
The stuff that I was saying, was just intelligible. Like, it didn't even make sense.
Does everybody else do it? I can't do it because I'm a blonde white woman? Fucking wearing a fucking $40,000 fucking Rolex? I don't have the fucking right to fuck shit up?
The rest, I guess, was history. 15 million views later, now I'm famous.
She loves it. No repercussions for this kind of behavior. And she fucking absolutely loves it, dude. It's absolutely just no repercussions for this behavior whatsoever. And it's great. She's banking on it. It's like that fucking girl who beat the shit out of the 14-year-old black kid. What was her name? The one that went on Gail's show and was like, you stop it, sweaty. I'm the real victim here.
I first heard about the pandemic quite a few weeks before most people. It was January 27th. I was on my way home from opening Nobu here in Scottsdale, probably the best night of my life, biggest night of my career. My brother called me up, I'll never forget. He said, hey, there's a situation down here in China and it's coming to the US and it's very scary. I just started Googling stuff online, pandemic hoax, COVID hoax, you know, and at the same time, people started to send links. So I just started clicking on everything. And you start watching like a video on YouTube, for example.
I did my own research.
You know, it goes into the next one and it goes into the next one. It really all begins with that one click. Really what QAnon is, it's an apocalyptic cult that preys upon your deepest, darkest fears and leads you to believe and convinces you that the worst outcomes for humanity are imminent. I have always been very natural health oriented, very wellness oriented, very into spirituality, you know, very into, you know, Ayurvedic healing. A lot of the ways that the QAnon information got disseminated, especially to women, I feel like, is through those channels. So, you know, you'd click on a video about food.
I need to make an important point here, an important announcement. I kind of teased this already. I was going to tweet it out, but I don't know if I should anymore. But you guys know that I am fascinated with crystal ladies, like with crystal girls. And I've talked about this before, but like the yoga, self-help, crystal side of the internet totally fucking went anti-vaxxer if they weren't already. And also went like QAnon conspiracy route. So many of those crystal mommies turned into QA moms, right? We've talked about this before. I also have an additional announcement on that. I think that crystal girls are now plant girls. The ones that didn't go the QAnon route during the pandemic started taking care of plants. Like so many alt and so many like crystal mommies have turned into plant mommies. Or both at the same time. The new hot girl shit is not crystal girls anymore, it's plant girls.
Foods to eat, you know, to keep yourself healthy and boost your immunity in the pandemic, and it would end up being something about how deadly vaccines are. The content would really shift quickly, but once you click on it, you know, the next 10 videos would be about how there is an imminent genocide being purported by the New World Order under the guise of a health crisis. I really aligned with the spiritual stuff, with the we are on the dawn of the age of Aquarius. You know, we're on the precipice of a big change in humanity, this great reset.
Everyone always made fun of me. They said, Hassan, why are you such a coomer? Why do you know these things about crystal girls and like, you know, horoscope Twitter and shit like that? Well, guess what, dude? Guess what? I was fucking right. This is why I was able to call this shit out ahead of time before other people were talking about fucking how the crystal mommies that turn into anti-vaxxers, okay? And COVID deniers. So my coomerism actually helped me get ahead of the curve.
The world is going to change in a really positive way. We, at some point along the line, are going to be aided by benevolent spirits and aliens, basically. And I could prove it, you know, and I was showing that in my stories. I realize now, for people looking at it and like not knowing like what was going on in my head, it probably looked really bizarre. I've been in corporate PR for my entire career, and for once, I really...
Wait, fake news of Iraq's possessing weapons of mass destruction led to the U.S. invasion of Iraq? Yeah, but that's... See, this is what fucking pisses me off. Like, that's real. That's not fucking fake. That's a thing that is real. That like the American government and mainstream media lied about fucking Iraq possessing weapons of mass destruction so we could invade Iraq. That's not fake news. That is entirely different than the pandemic shit. Ah! It wasn't the news, it was the Defense Department? Yeah, right, it wasn't the fucking news yet. Tell that to the New York Times, motherfucker. That's not true at all.
I've been in corporate PR for my entire career, and for once, I really felt like I was storytelling something, you know, interesting and creative, that I wasn't like being tamped down. I was on QAnon like it was my job. I mean, I'm a busy type A person, and all of a sudden I had nothing to do with myself. You know, people are like, well, why didn't you just go work out? Or why didn't you go, you know, learn a new hobby or learn a new language and stuff? And it's like, well, I was petrified of the pandemic and everything and all of these like crazy ideas about this genocide that was before us. How could I possibly get on the Peloton when, you know, I have Nazis to fight? Seriously, that's how I felt. I think this is better. What would it have been like for you 6 months ago watching Joe Biden be inaugurated? Would you have perhaps even traveled to Washington to demonstrate if you were still in the QAnon world? When you go down that rabbit hole and you're stuck in the QAnon echo chamber, all you can think about is the worst possible outcomes for this country and ultimately for humanity.
You're laughing. You're laughing. You disgust me, chat. She's over here talking about how she couldn't ride her Peloton, and you're laughing. How dare you? Do you know how hard it is when you can't get on your Peloton and instead you defeat the Nazis by going to the mask section at a Target and breaking it apart? It's funny to you, huh? It's funny, right? Yeah. Yeah, you disgust me.
And getting out of that, you know, all I can see is...
I bet you would laugh if you heard that she also couldn't even enjoy her gold-flaked matcha tea anymore. She still consumed it, but she couldn't enjoy it like she once did, knowing that there are Nazis out there at Target. Yeah. Yeah, that's real funny, dude.
Is
yeah.
A positive future, you know, no matter who is in office. My interest and involvement in QAnon really put a strain on my marriage quickly. It was all I could think about. It was all I could talk about.
You know what a Peloton is? Yeah, it's like that fucking insanely expensive stationary bike that like super rich people have in their apartments, right? And you basically get into a class with other people and you're like biking in a class, in like a class bike. And there's like a monthly subscription too. I think it's like, it's a bike cult. Yeah, it's like a bike cult for rich people. It's a cult bicycle, LMAO. Oh, it's $40. Bro, it's $40 per month, or is it $12 per month? It's a stationary bike with a Zoom call. Yeah. Super rich people. I know a couple of less than super rich people who do it. Okay, it's like it's for people that have a fuckload of money to spend on a bike that they're never gonna fucking use, okay? And I say this as someone who has like a gym membership to Equinox. It's $40 and it's $40 a month, and the original like price of the bike is fucking crazy. Yeah, the bike is like the bike's like 1,000 plus. It's like 1,200 or like $2,000 or some shit like that. No, it's not 10K. You're lying.
Sat me down and he was like, I feel like we're losing you. This is scary. I need you to snap out of it. You know, this is nuts. I wasn't having any of it because one of the things that, you know, the cult does and why QAnon acts like a cult, operates like a cult, it convinces you to not trust any of the people.
Did your fucking chair cost that much? I think it was less. My chair was expensive, but I think it was less than that. You guys should remember I did it on stream, I think. I think my chair was like $1,500 or something.
You would trust, especially if they come to you and tell you that what you're doing is wrong.
You don't have clearance. You don't have clearance.
Okay.
You don't.
You're a spokesperson,
Yeah.
correct?
For the
Oh, this is the lady?
Okay.
Oh.
Call Donald Trump and ask him if you don't believe me.
Do you have his phone number?
Do I have his phone number? I'm on the phone with him all the time. I'm fucking wired.
I lost touch with reality.
Oh
and
yeah, she was. Oh my god, we had defenders of her in the chat. I remember because I was making fun of her, and someone was like, "She's clearly having a manic episode. Like you're being ableist." You guys remember that? Yeah, you know what she was having? An affluenza episode, dude. Okay, that's what it is. Yeah, there were people in the chat fucking yelling at me because I was making fun of her, and she was like, "This is so ableist." LMAO got the same shirt for $250. Yeah, you can get secondhand Herman Millers for very affordable prices in comparison to how expensive this was. It's one of the most expensive things I own is the chair and the desk, but it's expensive because I spend 12 hours a day on it. It's like getting a fucking PC that is expensive. I have an uplift desk. My chair and my desk are more expensive than my car. How much for that chain? This chain? Like fucking $1? I don't know. Is the Herman Miller a huge difference? It's pretty good. My neck is a problem only because of the way I sit, and it's always gonna be fucking bad no matter what. You recommend that chair? It's good. It's a good chair. It's a little weird to a little weird to adjust to it. The bike is only $1,900. How is that expensive? Dog, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking insane, dude? $1,900 for a stationary bike? It's like you can get a decent stationary bike for like $200, brother. And then also on top of that, it's like $40 a month too. It's not even a bike that you can get utility out of it. Like you can't fucking you can't bike around and like do Postmates to pay off the bike. It is a stationary bike. I no longer have lower back pain though, and I think it's probably the chair is good. I don't recommend it for everybody, obviously, because it's so fucking expensive. You can find secondhand versions of it. I mean, you can find the same thing at like half the price or way cheaper than that. Any GTRP later? Yes. Yeah, but you only sit on that chair 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yeah, if I didn't have back problems, I would never get something so expensive. And if I didn't also spend fucking 12 hours a day on this right here, I wouldn't do it.
Understanding of what that means. I could not comprehend what was happening. There was just something so delicious for people to observe somebody having a mental health breakdown, and it's really sad.
You spin around and just put your phone down.
What?
Okay? You put your phone down.
Oh my God. I'm not in the mental health profession, but I can tell you, if you sit down with a doctor and start telling them there are reptilians in the government, they are going to hospitalize you. And that's exactly what happened to me. When I walked into this mental health evaluation facility and it was full of drug addicts and homeless people, it was such a far cry from, where I had come from. That was a wake-up call. It wasn't until, I had actually left the hospitalization.
Thank God she actually saw a poor person for the first time, or she was treated like a poor person for the first time, and that was an immediate wake-up call for her, which is precisely why she also gets to have this Vice interview as well, because she's a rich person. She's from the appropriate caste, okay? She's not an untouchable. So when you're from a higher caste and you get lowered to that position, then all of a sudden, that's news, A dog biting a man is not news, but a man biting a dog is. And this is that. Because this isn't supposed to happen under capitalism, but it did.
And, realized I had been canceled. My husband actually filed for divorce. It occurred to me that something is very wrong, with my health. That's, really when I had a soul searching moment and I was like, I need help for this. I can't do this on my own. I want to do it on my own, but I can't do it on my own. If I could tell you the level of hateful communication that I would get every single day on my phone for months, kill yourself, I hope you die, here are instructions on how to kill yourself, I put a spell on your 2 little dogs and they're gonna die tonight. I didn't want to exist.
Why is that a threat, dude? That's the funniest fucking death threat I've ever heard. Wait, so does she still believe in curses and stuff, I wonder? How does that work? That's kind of weird.
Let alone go to the grocery store or get my nails done. And I got a phone call about a month and a half later while I was still in
I've been
the
fucking ex-bruv.
program. A very well-known, prominent real estate developer.
I've been ex-bruv.
Said,
I
hey,
gotta pee
Melissa,
again. Holy shit.
I'm gonna be in town next week and I want you on the team. And I was like, are you kidding? Have you been living under a rock for the last 8 weeks? Nobody wants to work with me. Haven't you heard? I'm done. I'm canceled. And he's like, oh yeah, I've heard, I've seen it. I don't care. I got off the phone and I was like, oh my God, he's right. I didn't want to live in a hole, I didn't want to live in a hole, but I didn't know what to do. And I wanted to keep going. And I wanted to empower other people and show other people how I did it, because it was not easy. And it's not something that anybody else can do for you. I had to do it myself. I had to uncancel myself. It's the perfect brand for me because I am really the first person to own crazy. I have a book deal, which will be multiple books. I know it will be a bestseller. I have a television series that's like a reality show style thing. I sold film rights to my life to a big studio in Hollywood. So, I guess my life is really just beginning.
Why do you deserve a second chance?
I deserve a second chance because I'm a good person. And I believe, everybody deserves a second chance if they are indeed good people and they do the necessary work to better themselves if they've screwed up. People have such varied opinions about me. It really hurts my feelings when people say that I'm this, entitled.
Dude, nothing is as powerful for conservatives like a dose of fucking experiencing just a crumb of what normal people go through every fucking day. Just a sliver. She literally is like, I saw a poor person. I got a new job as a consequence of going viral, and I was super canceled. It's like, dude, that's the opposite of cancellation, okay? She's not even fucking talking about the bad parts. Oh my fucking Lord, dude.
Why do you deserve a second chance?
To my life, to a big studio in Hollywood. So, I guess my life is really just beginning.
Why do you deserve a second chance?
Dude, I hate this world. Seriously, fuck this world, dude. It's just, seeing shit like this makes me so mad. I'm sorry. Not even a fucking crumb, not even a sliver of justice. There is no divine justice. You see shit like this, and you are reminded that it's just that doesn't happen, okay? That only happens in the fucking movies, which are made by people like her, and are made by people, made for people like her, and also are apparently about people like her. So, it's great. Fucking great.
I deserve a second chance because I'm a good person And I believe, everybody deserves a second chance if they are indeed good people and they do the necessary work to better themselves if they've screwed up. People have such varied opinions about me.
Unless you're a poor person, in which case, then, God has kind of given you the only chance you had, and you probably did something bad in your past life or something. I don't know. I'm a very spiritual person, and now I believe that, you are probably going to be a snail in the next life or something. Because honestly, you're a bad person if you're poor. Sorry. It's just kind of the real thing. It's hard. But I'm thankful that you're poor because it taught me not to be poor. When I saw you at the drug clinic, it's very important for me to understand that.
It really hurts my feelings when people say that I'm this, entitled, spoiled person. They took one look at what happened.
Doing the accent of the women you date.
Anything about who I was before. They see what I look like.
You gotta fucking hurt me, dude.
They see the Rolex or whatever, and they make a judgment. I think I'm very easy to hate.
They see my Rolex and they make a judgment. First of all, you wear the Rolex literally for that judgment, okay? Nobody wears a Rolex to be like, I'm actually being really modest right now and humble. No, the entire purpose of a Rolex is a fucking flex, dipshit. Okay, that's one. And two, you just don't like that people aren't responding to your fucking flex in the way that you want them to, which is, positivity. Oh my God, you have a Rolex. Well, let me roll the red carpet over. You can just, you can come in here and destroy this Target. That's precisely why she even mentioned the Rolex herself while she was ripping the fucking mask off the shelves at the Target. Okay? That's it. People judge me because I have so much power and wealth. I hate it. I hate it. You don't fucking wear the Rolex, idiot. Do you need to wear fucking Christian Dior pearl necklaces? No. Dumbass. This video is so bad.
Glance, I guess.
I can't take this Rolex off. It's glued to my arm. Why are you making fun of me? This was such a dog shit fucking video. Oh my God. Wearing a Rolex to signal that you can't be held accountable for your actions? Yeah. Good video by Vice. Very cool. Yikes at the slut shaming? What? What? Please explain to me how this is slut shaming? I'm so confused as to where the slut shaming occurred. Did it occur somewhere? I was making fun of her for wearing a Rolex and crying about it, but it was bait. It is because the chatter thinks she's a slut and you are shaming her? I don't know, maybe. That could be a self-report, dude. It seems like a self-report where he was like, yeah, this person is a slut. You shouldn't shame them or something, which is ironically slut shaming. Bait. It was bait. Oh, dude. Come on, dude. Blonde or brunette? I do not care. I have no preference. Okay. This is a good way to... Why companies want you to think they care.
Can you tell us about content?
This is actually a really good segue into talking about the fucking Super Bowl ads. So let's get started on that.
Consumerism.
These liberal boycotts are always an embarrassing failure.
We're going to boycott the boycotters.
You need to be both a political activist and a consumer activist.
Wait, before we get to that, a $15 minimum wage would allegedly pull 900,000 Americans out of poverty, but it would also kill 1.4 million jobs, according to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. The left prefers policies that feel good over policies that actually do good. Does he not understand that the Congressional Budget Office is literally saying, even with 1.4 million jobs being lost, that more than, first of all, it's not even 900,000 Americans, it's more than that. Millions of Americans will be lifted out of poverty. Does he literally not realize that that is baked into the 1 million plus people that will be lifted out of poverty? As in, like, you're basically saying that this is a good policy regardless of the potential negative consequences? It's Charlie Kirk who said that, but that's very strange. Why would it be more than 900,000? 900,000 Americans getting lifted out of poverty? It's much higher than that. If your business requires you to pay below minimum wage, your business deserves to die. I don't know about the slut shaming, but you are being a bigot to sexy beach blonde women. She was so hot like spicy Wendy's nuggets.
Being a consumer. It's one of the few things that we all have in common, and it does have its perks. Consumerism is how we got smartphones, guns, smartphones that look like guns, guns that look like smartphones, and YouTube videos of people shooting smartphones with guns. While we don't really have a choice whether we are consumers, we do have a choice in what we consume. And a majority of Americans want the things they buy to reflect their values.
The negative employment effects are totally bullshit. It's been so extensively studied. Yes. There is a meta-analysis that looked at studies conducted on potential negative consequences like job loss as a consequence of increasing the minimum wage, and found that they were pretty fucking biased. On top of that, we have real world examples like Seattle to look to. Like, there are, every single time the minimum wage increase becomes a conversation point, everyone always goes back to the exact same arguments. This is going to lead to job loss. And yet, it's always one big oopsie. It never led to job loss after the minimum wage increase occurs. Just like it didn't happen in Seattle, and just like it's not going to happen across the board in the country. There is only one group of individuals that may see some, not harm necessarily, but some issues, and that is small business owners. Okay, that's it. Some small business owners and their profit margins are going to decrease. Some of them might even lose their businesses, but very few in comparison to like the millions of jobs being lost. Blah blah blah. All this shit that people are talking about. It hasn't panned out. Small businesses are usual. Yeah, it is a net benefit. It 100% is a net benefit. And also, small businesses are usually exempt. No, there's no exemption for small businesses, and there shouldn't be. The only exemption for small businesses is the price hike isn't immediate regardless. But even if the price hike was immediate, they usually will bake in a separate price hike for small businesses. And that is going to occur anyway. Responding to the CBO's estimate of 900K job losses as a result of 50 minimum wage, Econ Jared on MSNBC says, a member of the White House Council of Economic Advisors, says on MSNBC that other analysis, including his own, takes a very careful look at this aspect, and the problem finds a much smaller effect in that regard. Yeah. But it wouldn't even be close to the amount of small businesses that major corporations tanked. No, nowhere near. Nowhere near. A lot of small business owners take home a fat wage anyway. They could easily cover the rise to keep workers, but don't want to. Would that make it harder to start a business? Guys, you know what would make it easier to start a business? Owning slaves, okay? But you don't do that. Like, that's illegal, immoral. You understand that. You could very easily hire child labor. That would make your business survivable. You could pay them fucking next to nothing. Why does that argument not work? Well, because you understand that it's immoral, indecent, inhumane, and it doesn't work. And luckily, in most developed nations around the fucking world, you can't do that. So why do we have this argument about $15 minimum wage? You're basically fucking saying, like, my business can't survive unless I, pay close to nothing. Unless I underpay my employees. And the frustrating part about that is, like, you're basically saying, like, my business can't survive. Okay, then your business doesn't survive. What happens when your business doesn't survive? Do you get fucking killed? If you're a small business owner and you have a bunch of fucking employees and you're underpaying them, you're paying them less than minimum wage, and you're paying them less than minimum wage, then what do? Like, you can't raise the wages because your business won't survive. Then what do? Do you get thrown in jail if your business fails? No, you just become a worker yourself. And that's the reality, is that so many business owners know the reality for workers in the marketplace, in the job market, and that is a destiny worse than fucking death for them. And that's precisely why they act like you're gonna fucking die. And this is very selfish of me, I know. And people will say, Hassan, fuck you. That's so selfish. It's so fucking selfish. Okay, well, it's very selfish of you to not pay your fucking workers livable wages then. A debate lord is going to call you a hypocrite because you champion material conditions? What do you mean champion material conditions? The reality is we have a lot of safety nets for business owners. If their businesses fail, there are more safety nets for them to recover financially, especially because you can't start a business without enough leverage or enough capital that you own already. That there are significant ways that you can recover from a loss like that, whereas the same amount of recovery does not exist for the workers. Start talking in bullshit econ terms. Just say the public marginal benefit would outweigh the marginal cost put upon the employers. I mean, I already did say that without using the econ terms. That is precisely what this CBO estimate shows, by the way. And that's why a lot of neoliberals are even on board with a $15 minimum wage increase, for the record. Was this the I think this might have been the no, this isn't the meta-analysis, is it? CEPR thanks to Ford Foundation for financial support. Oh, brother. No jobs lost conclusion. Economists have conducted hundreds of studies of the employment impact on the minimum wage. Summarizing those studies is a daunting task, but the two recent meta-studies and analyzing the research conducted since the early 1990s concludes that the minimum wage has little or no discernible effect on employment prospects of low-wage workers. Yeah, the people who say, what about fucking inflation, rarely factor into the reality that inflation, well, not inflation, but inflation has been occurring regardless of the minimum wage increase or decrease. Like, Is it true that U.S. doesn't have any pensions so you can invest in stocks and stop working at a certain age? The United States doesn't have as many pension plans anymore because, yes, 401ks have taken its place, which further privatizes or at least financializes people's retirement plans and makes it feel like the average worker has a stake in the market. And they technically do, but it's minuscule in comparison to what the wealthiest gain from the stock market. Isn't minimum wage growing slower than inflation is increasing? Minimum wage is the same, brother. If adjusted to the last time minimum wage was increased, to inflation, it wouldn't be $15. It would be like $22, I think. There is some countries have adjusted minimum wage to the cost of living. We do not have that. Minimum wage does not adjust to the cost of living in this country. Minimum wage does not adjust to productivity in this country. Wages do not adjust to the productivity in this country. Lowest minimum wage is $7.25 in Alabama. Yeah. 22 accounts for productivity increases too. Oh, sorry. Would increasing minimum wage incentivize automating away low-paying jobs? I support the increase. Just a question. As far as I can tell, they're being automated away regardless of minimum wage increasing. They are being automated away regardless. That's all that fucking business owners care about. But automating menial labor and unfulfilling tasks is not a bad thing. The bad thing is that creates less of a profit-sharing opportunity for businesses. That's it. That those profits end up going to a smaller and smaller fraction of society rather than the workers themselves. That's the real problem. The problem isn't automation. The problem is the economic organization that we exist under. Because if it worked, if we had a more humanitarian approach to this, then all of a sudden, with automation, workers would have to work less hours for the same pay or more pay, as a matter of fact, depending on how much the business is generating, how much revenue the business is generating. Less jobs available for lower IQ, literally 95 IQ and under cannot be employed. I think people who are under 95 IQ, such as yourself, will still have opportunities. There will be make work for low IQ individuals such as yourself. And I assume you're a low IQ individual because you think that like low IQ is indicative of your job opportunities or something like that. If you're engaging in like that weird eugenics bullshit, you probably are unironically stupid. So don't worry about it, brother. You'll have a job. Punching down on people is so cool. Yes, punching down on someone who is literally punching down by saying like, people under 95 IQ are not going to be able to find jobs now because of you. And that the implication that like people with a lower IQ than fucking 95 can only work minimum wage jobs and shit like that. And we should underpay them. Regardless of how much they fucking add value with their labor, regardless of what their IQ is, or whether fucking their IQ actually means anything beyond what you've read on some fucking weird Nazi blog. is pretty stupid. And if you say something stupid like that, then I'm going to dunk on you. And if that triggers you, then but the other thing doesn't, then you're a fucking moron as well. And you don't recognize what the other person was saying, or worse, you agree with them, and therefore you yourself are also low IQ, and, you know, that's why you're upset. The U.S. Army highest employer will not employ below 75 IQ. That's all I'm questioning. Okay. That has absolutely zero to do with what you were talking about. That has absolutely nothing to do. And also, you said 95, and now you're saying 75. And I don't believe that either, by the way. Have you met someone in the fucking military? I guess that's yet another example that the IQ test is completely fucking idiotic and doesn't really prove whether someone is smart or not. Because I've definitely seen some fucking morons in the U.S. military. I'm gonna move goalposts until my argument's right. Yeah, literally. He's like, what about what about the president? Huh? Huh? I've heard you say ableist things about the president. Oh, got him. What if you're a baby, dude? What if you have no object permanence, dude? Huh? Got him. Fucking owned, dude. Anyway. Let's keep going with this.
Be they political, moral, or environmental. And companies have figured that out.
People need to care more in order for change to happen.
In a time when people feel especially powerless, it's exciting to think that you could use your wallet to fight for the things that you believe in. That's why some people responded to Chick-fil-A's support of anti-LGBTQ organizations back in 2012 by not eating there, and others took a different route.
God bless you, Chick-fil-A.
At any given time, about a third of Americans are boycotting one or more companies for any number of reasons.
Y'all already want a virtue signal. Let's call it boycott all sports.
McDonald's breakfast, y'all suck. I'm not boycotting y'all. I have to eat this.
Don't ever go to fucking Mattress Firm because they'll fucking kidnap you. I'm not fucking joking.
If you want to get the attention of our corporate overlords, you could do what Dave Chappelle did when he called on his fans to boycott him.
If you ever liked me, if you ever think there was anything worthwhile about me, I'm begging you, boycott me.
Chappelle was upset that Viacom was making money by licensing The Chappelle Show, something he doesn't get paid for. And sure enough, his self-boycott got Netflix and HBO Max to stop airing the show. But very few of us have a platform as big as Dave Chappelle's, and even fewer of us are Dave Chappelle. But if you are Dave Chappelle, hello. How are you? Thank you for watching. If you're really looking to make a point, you might consider joining forces with a lot of other pissed off people.
More than 99% of the Negro people of Montgomery rose up with a bit of indignation, a righteous indignation, I would say.
One of history's most famous boycotts, the 1955 Montgomery bus boycott, followed the arrest of Rosa Parks. But it was successful in large part because black people made up 3/4 of the customers using the bus system. So an organized protest was a serious financial hit. Even then, the boycott had to go on for over a year and only ended when the Supreme Court stepped in and ruled that bus segregation laws were unconstitutional. Because apparently, for many white Southerners, the threat of their city going broke wasn't nearly as scary as the threat of racial equality. Ooh, I can vote now. These days, boycotting is a lot like hooking up. Social media has made it easier to do, but not necessarily